All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. I miss you too, all of you. So the whole community is so very excited to be with you. I just got back. I'm still jet lagged, so pardon me if I am not 100%, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Anyway, so excited to be with you here. Uh, of course, I was aware of the topic. I was aware of what's going on. Just the setting where I wasn't conducive enough for me to do live stream from whatever I was when I had some downtime. So I decided to wait till I get back stateside. And knowing that, I knew that today is the last day where those naval exercises between Russia and China will be concluded, is on the 16th. And I said to myself, I'll just wait till I get back and I'll provide you my own insights about it, in addition to other topics. So before I'll do anything, let me just say hi to all of you, and like we always do. So, and I miss you all, guys. Chianti, 4 chips. That is correct. That's what China sent. See more fact. Congress is passing $1.6 billion budget for media to broadcast negative propaganda against China. I'm aware of that one. I did take a look. Actually, I read the bill last night, believe it or not. So, Lisa Lewis, good to have you as a new subscriber for the channel. Hang and G, good to see you as always. You too, the super 72K indeed. So thanks to you all, guys, and just share the word with others regarding the channel. Willie Holman, as always. Matt Becky, as always, and good to see you as well. Coach Ohoy, good to see you. YT, good to have you back, Dr. O. Good to be back. Truth Seeker, Muslim Revert, Farhad Razavi, as always, Karakulak. Dr. O is back. The detox is finished today. That's a good one. Moha from Nairobi, Kenya. Good to have you. Khadija, good to have you as well. Sang Tang, Hong Wang, Sarah Carroll, Azaf Ben Judah from the UK. Good to have you, sir. Om Lohami, good to see you. Rick O'Brien, Charles Chin, KL, Alice Talokin. Good to see you guys. All right, let's get into our topic. And what I decided to do, guys, and I'll share with you some of stuff that I did overseas, but I like to keep that for the community conversation at the end of the month, because my trip to Asia is coming closer. So I will update you on all that as I move forward. So, all right, before I'll delve deeper, I need to give you a heads up. Remember to join me tomorrow for a live stream about the Houthis launching of the ballistic missile on Tel Aviv. I will do a live stream on it tomorrow. On Wednesday, we're going to have Larry Johnson here. I'm going to talk to you with Larry, of course, about some really major developments that the Russians embarking on, given my own conversation that I just had in Eastern Europe. So I'm sure the media is not going to be covering certain things, but I have some ideas about talking to Larry about. So remember to join me on Wednesday for that one, and I will post everything for you. So regarding this topic here, guys, we're going to have to ask these questions. Let me put them for you here. Like we always do. Okay, first question. What message is Russia and China sending? I know some might say, well, Dr. O, they always do the naval drills, joint exercises, and so forth. That is correct. What one thing you're going to need to look into is the size of the assets involved in the maneuvers. This is no small matter, because to me, this looks like preparation for World War III. When you consider what's involved, and I'm going to be talking briefly about the assets, but more about the analysis, which is the key to all this. Second question is, what message, as I said, Russia and China are sending to the US and NATO? Because if you only know also what NATO and the US are planning as we speak regarding the Pacific, or Asia for that matter. So, and this is why in my Asia trip, there is one particular location I'm going to go to. I'm not going to disclose it, but I am going to go to for this particular reason. So, second question we need to ask is, why now? Why now? The timing. Like I always say, guys, I hope you didn't forget this. In geopolitics, timing matters. Nothing happened in a vacuum. The timing of it. So, third question, what other major events that's been happening in the background as Russia and China conducting their joint maneuvers, which will be concluded today? Yeah, even though it was scheduled a few months ago, still there is always that angle that you're going to have to consider. And this is those are some of the answers I am going to be some of the questions rather I'm going to be answering for you. So, well, the maneuvers, the whole joint exercises which do the Ocean 2024, and this is where the Russia and China have been and still conducting, because the exercises, I'm sure by now the timing it's probably concluded. So we can use the past tense for the exercises that was scheduled from the 10th through the 16th today. So, and here is the key: Russia will deploy about 400 ships and the 90,000 military personnel. And that's what I'm saying. The size of this suggests something more than just regular scheduling joint naval exercises. So, because those naval drills, which now, by the way, had other, and I got some images here, had some other 15 countries, I believe, 15 countries that's going to be observing this. So what you have in those exercises, guys, you have basically the exercises spanning or have spanned from the Pacific, the Arctic Ocean, the Mediterranean, the Caspian, the Baltic Sea, which I was nearby in my recent trip. And those involves about 400 warships. Okay, that's one. Then there is a submarine or submarines. I use the past. Then a support vessels. Then 120 planes and helicopters and over 90,000 troops. So this is why, to me, this is more than just a normal maneuvers. And I've been watching this for years and years and years when countries conducted military exercises. This one has something different about it. So let me share pictures here with you guys, because I need to show you where those are. There's the massive scale here for the assets being used. So, and I'm gonna get into some detail briefly about certain type of vessels that have been or naval assets both the Russians and the Chinese have been deploying. So it will be very, very interesting for you guys to have an understanding about this one here. So, well, here's the thing: the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, that is, made the comment about this one here that. And the comment was made to the military officials in Russia. Not this is not about the West. This is not about NATO. Is the message to the military over there that the war game are considered the largest one of their kind in decades, and rightly so. If I am to use history as my guide, given the number of joint military exercises that I at least have been aware of, given my academic background, I have never seen come into this massive size. So, and when I say using history, I'm going about to almost 3 to 4 decades. This is why it's so much. So, and that the Chinese warships also and planes are taking part of this. Yeah, China could have just sent, let's say, one vessel, one destroyer, a submarine. No, Russia gets gets involved completely, because the Chinese confirmed that one. So, and the key to this, in my opinion, was the 15 countries that have been invited to observe. That's the key. 15 countries to observe the drills. Why do you think that is? Just for the sake of it? No. Even though there are those analysts in the West is saying, oh, this is an amount to nothing. It just, no. No, it does amount to something, because when you are inviting 15 countries to observe, it is more likely you're going to include them into something in the future should the events call for it. And this is where that quote from the Russian president comes in. I'm going to share it with you as is. He said, and I quote, "We pay special attention to strengthening military cooperation with friendly states Today, in the context of growing geopolitical tensions in the world, this is especially important. End of quote. It's very, very, you can't just think about it. It's just maneuvers. No, there is more into it. But here is also the most important aspects of it is the location. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of history and a little bit of geography, because you need to understand where this is taking place. So let me share the location with you guys right here. Does anybody, by the way, know where the training training exercises took place? So if you can type in that in the chat box, I will greatly appreciate it, because I wanna always gonna be having you involved in a conversation. So very strategic location. So all right, let me see what you guys putting down here. Yellow Sea, no Muslim River, good try. YT, North Sea, no, good try. Here, guys, check out the map. I'm gonna put it for you guys. Check it out. There is one specific location right here where it says Peter the Great Gulf. Excuse me, I am still literally jet lagged, but also got some viral stuff at the airport in Frankfurt. Excuse me. So Peter the Great Gulf, which is very, very important location, because you need to understand the Peter the Great Gulf excuse me, is a gulf on the southern coast of Primorsky Krai in Russia, and the largest gulf of the Sea of Japan. The gulf extends for about 185 kilometers from the Russian-North Korean border at the mouth of the Tumen River in the west, across the Cape Povorotny. Povorotny. That's what it is. That's why the geography is important to understand. And the one thing, as a geopolitical analyst, I will have to think about why they had to decide on this location. It's only for one reason. Because if there is to be a conflict in that part of the world, meaning Asia, that's what I meant, it's going to start in that part. Because at the time of this live stream, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, I think it's already arrived into the Pacific, way out there, getting closer to these locations. So the significance of it, it's also sending a message. That is the reason, in my opinion, why this location is important. Yeah, they could have done it somewhere else, right? Russia is big. They got some other waters, even a Black Sea if they choose to. Of course, they're not going to do it in the Black Sea because it won't make sense. So the other aspects I need you to understand, which is the history of why that one is called Peter the Great Gulf. But the history that I want to share with you, and I'm going to share a picture with you, and I want you to tell me who this person is. All right, let me share a screen. Hopefully I remember how to do all this. I haven't done it for a while. All right, you guys will I don't want to show you the name. All right, can you type in chat box, please? Let me make this bigger. All right, let me see what you guys type in. Taiwan Still, good to see you. John Smith, good to see you as well. All right. Who's in the picture, guys? It's a historical figure. Peter, Catherine, and Alexander. That is correct. This is Peter the Great. So, again, why is this important for you to understand? Because you need to understand the history of it. So, Peter Great, as he would later become known as the Russian Tsar. So I'm going to take you back a little bit in history since his birth. He was born in 1672, to be exact, on May 30th, to Tsar Alexei I and his second wife, not the first wife, second second wife. Unlike his sickly siblings from the Tsar first wife, Peter was excuse me, guys, I'm sorry, I'm still dealing with this, I think this viral stuff, whatever that was. Let me go get some water here. Pardon me. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Sorry, guys. So, as I said, Peter was an inquisitive and very, very energetic child. And that's part of what shaped his personality. So, as a young boy, which was interesting, he was interested in warfare. Makes you just wonder. It was warfare, carpentry, and sailing, in addition to building ships. This is based on the record that I found, and I'm going to share it with you, by the way. I'll provide you the link. So now, here is the interesting, and I'm not going to dig too much into this because I talked about this in my in my Russia book. I detailed few or part of the history when about Russia under Peter the Great, because it was very important a part of the history of Russia that I need you to sort of for you to understand. So I disclose that in the Russia book. So the idea that his favorite subjects were mathematics and navigation, which I found it very, very interesting. Now, when the Tsar Alexei I died, when the young Peter was only 4, which means he became the heir, right? It was Peter's eldest half brother, Fyodor III, who was sickly himself and died 6 years later. So fast forward to when Peter was selected by the Orthodox Church, and this is why today in Russia, excuse me, the Orthodox Church plays a major role when it comes down to how Russia moves forward, politically speaking. So, of course, you all know the history of his half sister Sophia and the other relatives who conspired to install Ivan. That's what they were planning on doing. So fast forward to 1699, because that's very, very important time in history that highlighted sort of the shift of the Russian Empire back then. So Peter, which by then became a Tsar and so forth. So I fast forwarded here just for you guys to have at least a brief idea. What did the Tsar Peter do at that time was reorganize the Russian standing army. That was one of the first order for him. And how did they organize it? Reorganized it rather into a more reputable and modern global force at that time. And you wonder why the Russian Empire was very, very strong back then, and invested heavily in the soldiers' training. This is one thing, again, why am I bringing this up? To highlight to you why the West is unable to understand the history of the Russian Empire from way back. No force was able to defeat Russians. Excuse me. Napoleon tried. No, they couldn't. And to me, it was like the common question, guys. What makes the West today think they can just roll over the Russians? It just doesn't make sense, because history tells us otherwise. So this army that he built was only mobilized as needed. Damn. Sorry. it's because they end up scoring some military victories. So the reform he introduced played a major role in paving the way, okay, for him to go ahead and conquer. Yes, he did. At that time, that was the era. The Portuguese did it, the Dutch, the Germans, the French, the British. The Russians did it before that. More territories as he continued to expand Russian size. That was one of the reasons. Till about 1703. This is when he found, what happened in 1703? He founded a major city. Can anybody tell me which one is that? Well known in Russia. Let me just see what you guys type in the chat box. It's when known. Oh, Alice Talokin, you got it. St. Petersburg. It was very, 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 that was Peter the Great, or Tsar, that is, in 1703, when he founded the city of St. Petersburg. So, and how that happened? It was after capturing the Swedish fortress of Nanayan Sikans. That's what happened. So at that time, the Tsar, Peter, also reformed the Russian tax system. He wasn't just about military, also thought about how the government, and this is what the importance of this. The reason why I want to share this with you, for a great leader, you can't just be thinking in terms of just military. You have to think about the structure of the whole government and how the government is operating. Something I wish my country or the government, I don't feel comfortable calling it my government because I don't feel that, can do. But unfortunately, we don't. So he reformed the tax system and introduced the poll tax, which is part of a series of measures that would increase the government's revenues. The revenues will be used to support the people. That's when and this revenues, by the way, just for the record, and here's in a historical record, increased by about 600% between 680 and 1724. Between those 2 years, 1680 and 724, the tax revenues increased by about 600%. Very, very, very important. So there were, of course, some challenges for Peter, mainly the ones about the Gulf of Finland. And I'm not going to get into too much because it was 1724 where his health excuse me. Here's the thing, guys. I'd rather deal with this way than taking medication. I don't take medication. I don't like it. So it's annoying, but I have my reasons for that. So 1724. Of course, what happened is that things have changed. His health started to deteriorate, and that's why in 1725 he passed away. That was the end. It was on February, I believe. So anyway, I just wanted to provide you some historical snapshots here to at least put things in perspective for you, and now at least you have a little bit of understanding about why Peter the Great played a major role in the Russian history. So, and I bet you when I talk to Larry Johnson, I'm sure he has a lot of information about this one. All right, let's get in. Oh, Francis Tango, thank you so much for your super sticker. Dr. O, have a cup of tea with honey for your throat. I did last night. Hey, Anya, can I have some tea with lemon, please? Thank you. So my wife's gonna make it. I usually do it at night, but you're right. I do tea with honey and lemon. I slice that. Water is good, but anyway. By the way, Francis Tango, thank you so much for your message on LinkedIn. I'm not share it with you all, guys. Francis sent me a message. He was worried that because I didn't do any live, and he sent me a note. Yeah, I'm worried. Hope you're okay. So thank you so much, Francis. Truly appreciate you, man. So let's go back to our conversation here about those naval drills. So, and as I said, the importance of it's not about just this many assets and so forth, which is important, but also is the message that they are sending. So, and there is a reason to do so. There is a reason to do so, given what's going on with NATO, US, and so forth. And as I said, I just came back from Europe, in Eastern Europe. I went to the Baltic Sea. So there are some dynamics going on. Eastern Europe seems to be now pulling away. When I say this, I'm referring to the countries that are part of NATO. They kind of like seeing this is going some different direction. They're still NATO members, but they don't want to be involved at all. So, so here is the argument now. Some are making, which I'm not against it, because it makes sense. When you consider Russia, China, and some other countries, the likes of Iran, what happened to all of them? They are all conversion on one particular alignment, if I may use the term. So, aligning their foreign policy. One objective is to challenge the West. Now, there are those who say it's about time. And rightly so, because we've abused our power beyond. And that is exactly what is happening. However, in my opinion, I see it differently. This is mainly has to do not with the foreign policy, but mainly the military aspects. Once again, it's because of, for me, where I see the trends coming, when you already started to see the writing on the wall regarding the movements of assets into Asia theater. That's to me what this is all about. The second aspect, because all this has to come, excuse me, on the background of two main events. Okay. The first one had to do with the trip of these two knuckleheads right here. I respect people and all that, but if you don't deserve it, you don't deserve it. Simple as that. You can. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is the honey with lemon. Thanks. Oh yeah. Now you're looking at Tony Blinken and David Lammy. Both of them went to Kiev. Okay. As a matter of fact, when I left Poland, because I made a stop there, when I left Poland, the same day Tony Blinken stopped in. Makes you just wonder. And this is what I'm saying. Against the background under which those military drills were conducted, there were also some other movements behind the scenes. Well, you all see yesterday I posted for you guys in the community, the meeting between the another bonehead right here. Those two. Why do you think he came all the way to Washington for? Wanted to seek permission and the green light to use the missiles, European missiles. Those are between France and UK. They do have a joint missile production. It's called the British-French Storm Shadow. That's the type of missiles. So he came all the way to Washington to seek permission. However, the US didn't give the green light. And you all know why, right? The reason why is because they know what the outcome is going to be, the response. Russians have already issued a warning. And I think this is it. We've reached the threshold with the Russians now. If Moscow, here is my word to you guys. If Moscow is hit with a missile from Ukraine, authorized by the US or NATO, it's going to be a response, a major one from the Russians. And here is why Blinken had to say in Warsaw, I am here to discuss, I'm paraphrasing here, with the Polish government the support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia and the deepening of US defense cooperation with Warsaw. That's the key word. You know what I found very interesting? Was the response by one of the MPs. And I'm going to share it with you guys here. His name is Grigory Brom. I'm mispronouncing his first name, but Brom, Braun, who won the elections recently, is. So take a listen, guys. Straightforward. The same time Tony Blinken landed, Braun went ahead and issued his statement. Let me share it with you. And please just give me a thumbs up if you can hear.
Blinken, go home. Go home as soon as possible. Get lost. Get lost. We don't want you here. We don't want Polish people paying and dying for your wars. Thank you very much. Blinken, go home. Go home as soon as possible. Get lost. Get lost. We don't want you here. We don't want.
All right. I'm going to stop it there. So, and he's right. And here is the reason why. I asked some people in Poland, unhappy with the government. It's because when you are seeing the massive of refugees, and now even Germany, there is a major crisis in Europe. Germany now is dumping the Ukrainian refugees on Austria. Austria shut the door and said to the Germany, heck no, you deal with that because you are the one supporting Ukraine. Germany is becoming like almost a violent society. I don't shy away from the truth because that's what it is. And this is one against the background because Eastern European countries now are worried. If the green light is given to the corrupted regime in Ukraine to attack Moscow, do you know what's going to happen? Russia's going to react. Okay. And basically, this is not just a missile, whatever. We're talking about a major war. And this naval exercises between China and Russia suggest that. And this is why that warning from the Russian president came strongly to suggest it is the case. And that's why I'm seeing it go in that direction. Here's the thing. Even for China came forward now publicly disclosing that it will stand by Russia in case NATO attacks Russia. Straightforward. So, and this is why the analysts in the West are saying, oh, those naval drills are nothing but an effort by Russia and China to deepen military ties and counter increased security coordination between the United States and its allies in the Indo-Pacific region. End of quote. Now, they're playing with words here. Russia and China moved beyond. Where are you gonna now be thinking about? Is the idea of Russia and China in a strategic alliance that goes beyond just military exercises and so forth. Because what the Chinese defense minister said, and I quote here, China will support Russia militarily if NATO attacks Russia. So I'm going to show you a clip, guys. I came across it and I saved it for this particular, because I knew I was going to do the live stream for you when I get back to the state. So just take a listen here. Observers. All right, play it. There we go.
通过视频校阅了各军兵种和武警部队野外分会场开训情况。塞外北国千里冰封，陆军某合成营官兵顶风冒雪展开实弹实装训练。南国军港波飞浪卷，装载训练。冀中情缘。
All right. You got the idea. So, and this is why those drills hold a different significance this time around. This is not about just a routine. This is about preparation. Of course, they're not going to disclose the details. Well, of course, that's normal what they're showing as far as the type of vessels, whatever. We don't know what was behind all this. So, and it wasn't someone from, his name is Stephen Nagy. No, and I checked him out. I'm aware of him. He's a Canadian. So, said, and I quote, Russia wants to demonstrate that they can engage in a full-scale war with Ukraine while deploying resources into the Indo-Pacific region. And China wants to show that they can deepen its relationship with Russia and cause problem in the region, primarily in the South China Sea, but also around Japan. End of quote. What a bunch of baloney. So this Stefan, who is, by the way, a regional security expert at the International Christian University in Japan. I'm aware of him because he's from Canada. So it just bunch of baloney. You know, that's not the truth. You know, China doesn't need to show that they can deepen their relations with Russia. Their relationship is already deepened. It's already forced. They're moving now to a different phase, different level of that relationship. What he and like him refused to address, it was the reason what prompted Russia and China to move to this larger scale of the naval drills, and that it's not disclosed. So, and this is why when when you hear a guy like this, who, by the way, received his PhD in international relations in Calgary from Waseda University in 2008, you start to think that's just nothing but the reverberation of the Western narrative, because that's what it is. You know, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth or provide something else. Not just regurgitate what the West is saying. You know, Russia and China already moved beyond now just a partnership. It's moving far deeper. And the invitation of 15 countries suggests something is in the works as far as, and I'm going to say it, some might disagree with me, as far as the possibility of creating a military alliance on many countries. What do you guys think? In your opinion, just yes or no, in your opinion, do you believe China, Russia strengthening this relationship will lead to the creation of an military alliance that includes other countries? Yes or no? Now, here is what the Chinese Defense Ministry said about those exercises. So, and why will they conduct those exercises? Both the naval and the aerial. Because the deepening of the strategic cooperation, something the Western analysts refuse to use the term strategic. Because here is the thing, guys. In the world of global affairs, international relations, geopolitics, whatever, when you use the term strategic, we are talking about a treaty down the road. A treaty by which you are, because you agreed to sign the treaty, you're going to come to the defense of. That's like the Article 5 for NATO. which, by the way, countries in Eastern Europe are very, very wary of that. This is now what explains, and I'm gonna do a video for you about this, by the way. This is why now US and NATO are furious at Turkey. You know why? Because Turkey went ahead and applies for BRICS. Washington is livid about it. Well, what are they going to do? Turkey wants to go that route. And this is why I'm telling you guys what I want you to get out of all this. When you read and hear about the Ocean 2024 exercises, whatever, is the strategic aspects of it. That is the key word for that. That is me. So, of course, to Russia, there is a strategic interest. To China, there is a strategic interest as well. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and not everything has to be with the specific goals in mind. So Russia hopes to increase. By doing this, there will be more pressure on the US. Not here in Washington, rather on the Pacific front, because that's where the next front is that the US and NATO are thinking about. And given also the presidential elections coming up next in about a month or so, that's how the Russians' calculations on all this one. China, on the other hand, is thinking in terms of, we better deal with this now and test certain types of weapons in those drills before things get hot, in case in South China Sea. Because one thing that the Japanese now are screaming bloody loud about is their presence near Taiwan. And to them, to the Japan, they're saying, well, why should China be close to the island, Taiwan, that is, militarily speaking. So China, this is where the angle from China's perspective, because China aim at one particular aspect, and you know what that is to divert Japan's attention from the waters near Taiwan. Because you all heard Japan is gonna come to the aid of Taiwan in case it is invaded. That's not Japan saying that. That's Japan being told what to say. Because that's how it works. You look at no different than the recent meeting that took place in the Pacific area, in which the prime minister, the incompetent Albanese, he's acting like the deputy sheriff of the U.S. in that part of the world. That's pathetic. And here is what one guy by the name Lin Yin, he's a military expert at Tam Kang University in Taiwan. Here is what he said. And I quote, Japan will have to prioritize threats to their security so they won't have more bandwidth to focus on the situation across the Taiwan Strait. End of quote. This is during his conversation with Voice of America. You get the point, right? So, and this is why when you think about back to the location, look at the map. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So this is why the increased military cooperation between Russia and China near Japan is creating or prompting Tokyo now to characterize these joint activities as a grave concern. No. Of course, Japan won't say that it is grave concern that the West or that NATO is going to open an office in Tokyo. Japan won't say that it is grave concern that massive amount of weapons, US weapons, is going to be sent to Taiwan. Japan's not going to say that is a massive grave that is grave mistake and so forth for the West to be doing this, or grave concern, when we are fomenting more tensions between Philippines and China. Rather, they are focusing on China and Russia. So it just shows you where things are. And this is why Japan went ahead and increased its annual defense budget, because we pushed Japan to do so. And this is why I don't quite get it when those analysts in the West, or professors that like this guy Nagi in Japan, and saying those kind of things that don't make any sense. It might make sense to someone who is not familiar with geopolitics, because the word sounds very academic and so forth. But deep down, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because the arguments have always been made, this cooperation between Russia and China, it might be potential for destabilizing the sea lanes of communication. So this might also prompt North Korea to do something else. So, well, of course, North Korea is going to do something else if you don't provoke it. Of course, Russia and China will forge more ties if you don't provoke them. And as a matter of fact, as I argued in my Russia book, we created this alliance between Russia and China. We shouldn't blame anyone else. That's just the way it is. And yet, these Western analysts are not willing to disclose the truth. This is what I have a hard time with those who are trying to manipulate the masses. Well, at least for our community here, I will not allow it, and I will not let it, by providing you the counter arguments. And of course, you reach your own decisions regarding whatever that might be. So, and that was the same argument that was made back then regarding the China and Russia joint exercises near the Sea of Japan back then. So it was the same, because NATO was pushing into the east. That is why when you look at now the increased military drills all over the world, well, it's not all over the world, because those two countries, Russia and China, are moving forward to push against NATO and the US ill-conceived foreign policies that, I am concerned. I am a concerned citizen seeing where this is headed. And I don't like it. So if they are to prepare, are we calling them just war? They are countering the West. Well, of course, they have to counter the West, because the West is embarking on a very dangerous policies that's going to lead us into, that will be the end. And when I say they, politicians in Washington and Brussels, they don't seem to want to accept that reality. Here is the hard truth, especially for my American viewers. If we give the green light for the corrupted Ukraine regime to use missiles and attack Moscow, and things escalate to the nuclear level, do you think we will be safe here? And we don't even have hypersonic. Both Russia and China possess. Just think about it that way. And this is where I don't get it, when I see and I read stuff, how those academicians, analysts, whatever they're writing, and I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just the manipulation part of the wording, No, I will not let it fly by. Can't, because it's not right. So now here is one again, this guy Nagy guy, which I found him very, very ludicrous. So here's what he said. Despite the, and I quote, despite the attempt to challenge the US and NATO through closer military cooperation, China and Russia are unlikely to let their partnership escalate out of proportion, end of quote. That's just a bunch of baloney. Here is why. It's because Russia and China are realizing that the new geopolitical landscape will be a multipolar order. It's not headed by Russia alone. It's not headed by China alone. It's not headed by the US alone. And it will be up to the US whether it want to play a role. If it wants to play a role, a role into this or not. That is the hard truth about it. Why can't he come forward and say it? Because he wants to promote the narrative that the US still the dominant. No, that era is gone. We're just not willing to accept the truth. So because here's the thing, Russia and China will keep moving forward now. It's a multipolar. And the idea that a NATO member, likes of Turkey, wants now to join BRICS, he says that's another message right there. As I said, I was in Europe, Eastern European countries saying Cyprus is part of NATO, right? What does Cyprus has to contribute to NATO? Cyprus already told NATO there will be no operations from our soil. You will not launch any operation whatsoever. Hungary is saying forget about it. Then you have the weak states, Finland and Sweden, are like just so confused. I'm even thinking of going to Finland and Sweden at some point down the road, see with my own eyes. Because they're realizing the population thinking differently versus what the government is doing. I talk to people in Eastern Europe. I tell you, they think differently. They're like something wrong with our government. And that's a reflection of all this. This is why I want you guys to understand this dynamics as to what led, what is the purpose of this type of exercises. I know they happened way back. I was aware of it when I was overseas. I couldn't do it because my timing wasn't right and so forth. So I decided to wait till I get back here and share it with you. The other two things that which I will talk about tomorrow also had to play a role into all this. The ballistic missile launched by the Houthis recently. That plays a role into the dynamics of all this one here. Why is this important? Because Russia has deployed or sent or provided, whatever term you want to use, the Houthis with certain types of weapons. The same apply to Hezbollah through third party. And I will talk about this tomorrow briefly here on this platform, but I'll continue the conversation elsewhere. And this is again why the USS Roosevelt left the region, because the leaving the region sends two messages. You know what the messages are? We don't want to be dragged into a war. Or the second message to Israel is, hey, you're on your own if you go any further. And what do I mean by any further? Meaning if you go ahead and go into Lebanon, which ain't going to happen. Because one reason and one reason only. Israel cannot. I repeat, Israel cannot do it alone. Doesn't have the capability. A retired general in Israel saying that the IDF is done for. There is no way they will defeat the groups in Gaza and so forth. So the background of all this is what I'm saying. You have to put it into context as to what's happening regarding these joint military exercises and see the big picture. Because where the USS Roosevelt didn't come back to the US, it went to the Pacific. It headed towards Asia. And I'm going to try to see, when I'm in Asia, I'm going to find out where it is and if I happen to be nearby. Even though I'm already got an idea as to where it's going to be. It's going to be somewhere near in Australia, because one particular location in Australia now is almost under the control of the US. So, and this is where I see it going. So, all right. Excuse me. That's all I have to share with you guys. Sorry for the coughing. It's just one of those. I It takes me a few days to get over this, but it'll be fine. It'll pass. I'll keep drinking more tea with lemon. So heads up, I will I will give you an update next time about the Asia trip to let you know what everything is, because I'm getting closer to take off, and we'll just go from there. So facing serious consequences leading to catastrophe. Let me take some questions from you guys. If you want to ask a question, I'll be happy to answer it. And I saw somebody, Francis Tango, you said, do you have a cup of tea with honey? Yes, I did. Thank you. So. And also, there's a new member, AISV335. Thanks for becoming a new member. By the way, for my YouTube members, please make sure to go ahead and get the copy of the Saudi book. That's for all the members. It is the right thing to do, guys. You all know how it is, right? It's the right thing to do, just to share that with everybody there. All right, let me see if there's a question from you guys. I'll answer one or two, and I'm gonna go make more tea. So okay, let me see. Islam, was India involved in the drill? Were they invited? I'm not aware of India being involved. No, there was just China and I didn't. I'll admit I didn't take a look at the list of the 15 countries. I'll check it out. Remember, I just got back. I'm still jet lagged, but I had to read up on so much to catch up, so I can provide you the information. I'll check it out and make a comment on it next time. So, okay, question. Do you think they will allow long range? No, because this to me will be the threshold. That's it. Because if that to happen and the Russian president does not retaliate, the Russians will turn against him. That's it. Because you can only be patient to a degree. And I've already read some statements suggesting that our patience is running out. We're getting closer to a threshold. So the better meaning the West, NATO and all that, and European countries better be prepared, because sometimes that's what's need to be done. I don't advocate for that kind of stuff, but sometimes that's what's needed. It's like with the bully, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to take stand once for all and be done with. Doc, please boil some fresh ginger and drink it with honey. I will do that. I'll ask my wife to do it for me, and I'll do it. Thank you so much. Let me see another question. Isabel, good to see you. How do the Houthis get big guns if they are under embargo? That's a good question. And the question we need to ask, which I will detail tomorrow, and I don't mind sharing it with you, is that two things. Either is a domestic production, which I don't think so, because to develop the ballistic level, there is a lot involved. Even though I remember when I was in Yemen, I ran to a nuclear scientist just in the street. I was drinking tea in one of them. They was sitting by my side. I would just start chatting. Say, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, I'm a nuclear physicist. It's like, and in the back of my mind was, what the heck is a nuclear physicist doing in Yemen? So that's my point. That could be domestic production. But again, I don't see that one. Or the second option, that's been provided, which most likely the case. I'm aware of the second part, that this type of ballistic missiles have been provided. The question is, which I will detail tomorrow, the Houthis just down another drone, a U.S. drone, the MQ-9. To do that, you're going to have some capabilities. Where did he get that? So that's the way I see it. All right, one more question, guys, before I sign off. And Tita Pua Roberts, thank you too. And it was so good to see you guys. I missed you all. Literally, it was weird not having live stream with you, but this is one thing comes with the territory when you do speaking. Your schedule is so messed up because you have to attend to other stuff beyond, and I don't like to do shortcuts. If I don't do it right, I won't do it at all. All right. Okay, I'm just trying to see if there's one more question here before I sign off. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, and we're going to talk about the Houthis. So I have enough information. I'll take last one from Hong Kong. Good to see you as always. Dr. O, I heard from some news channel, U.S. sent their ships to repair in India, but original parts was removed by the Indobus. I am not aware of that. And second, why will they send them to India and not Australia or Japan, where they will be at least far more prompt to do that kind of work? No, I'm not aware. My suggestion, my thinking rather, is that it's moving into the direction where they need to pre-possession the assets, and it's all about maneuvering, no more, no less. So because again, you have to think in terms of right after the Houthis launched the ballistic, the USS Roosevelt left. Coincidence? No. So that's the way I see it. So guys, I wish you a good day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Once again, it was so great to be back with the community here. Don't forget to hit the like button, please. And don't forget to do that. And please share the videos with others. I'm going to have to take this question from Matt Backy because it's an interesting. So could we conclude if the age group in Yemen got specific weapons, the age group in Lebanon has got them too? Possibility is there because both of them are clients of the same, are two of the same client for the person in charge, the country in charge rather. So meaning both age groups are under Iran. The possibility is there. On the other hand, they could also, because what Hezbollah used in recent attacks in northern Israel suggests also some advanced types of rockets or missiles, whatever that is. So yeah, the possibility is there, man. I can see that. Except that mainly for the Hezbollah, they were received from Iran. For the Houthis, were received from Russia, to my knowledge. So, guys, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. As always, greatly appreciate you. Remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.